All right, greetings, gods and goddesses in training. Welcome back to the channel. It is Uncle Makara. All relations. Let's get started today. Today's an incredible topic at hand in terms of how the mind is watching itself. You are the mind watching itself. And these are some New Earth codes that came in from the portal day that we just had, as well as the full moon that we just had. Both of those were extremely potent portals, and I think we kicked out a lot of people from the Primal Sutra Telegram group because they did not have profile pictures and they weren't following the rules. So if you are one of those people that got kicked out, just make sure that you find a way to rejoin with an actual profile picture this time, okay? And start participating this time because this is not a joke, okay? This is how to hack reality with your consciousness, okay? So without further ado, let's get started and let's kick things off. And I just want to share this with the tribe first before I kick off, all the secret codes that are just flowing through my veins right now that need to be dropped. Okay. They need to be dropped. All right. So what have I told you? You could predict your future by listening to the conversation happening inside your own mind. I'm not talking about pendulums. I'm not talking about tarot. I'm not talking about crystal ball. I'm talking about the silent, unfiltered inner dialogue that you carry around every day. And that's what I want to talk about today. States of consciousness. You know, the root chakra block isn't always money. It's the idea that I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed is a lie you inherited. I'm not allowed is a resistance. Okay? So hear the haunting ancestral echo of I'm not allowed. That thought is not yours. And it's from a core wound of I'm not enough. I'm not allowed to be happy. I'm not allowed to be successful. I'm not allowed to be free. And the shadow game then becomes overworking to earn your worth, keeping three jobs when one provides you enough. And the hidden loyalty becomes staying small so you don't outshine those who raised you. This is facts, okay? So listen to this and really start to understand how can I shift, okay? If you're a single mother, let's say, you got to spend time with your child, not after your future success. Oh, I'll postpone the mothering for some other time. No, realize, first of all, this belief doesn't even belong to you, and you are absolutely allowed worthy because you choose your energy state. Your past does not own your permission slip, you do, okay? Hey there, love. What's up, man? Why is this topic important for the audience? Because you're not in reality, reality is in you, okay? And then this understanding will help you manifest quicker, be more effortless, efficient, um, and you'll get the understandings that I'm coming up with because it's all also going to help wealth, health, and relationships. So I think these are some keys that I just noted down from the Nexus that are really going to help us. So I'm just spitting that, okay? So everything exists in the mind. There is only one mind, one I, one being. Your body is not walking, your mind is commanding it to walk. So if I think of Jesus, I think of Jesus as the mind, right? And this might be a very esoteric understanding, but Jesus was crucified between two thieves. This is why we follow the middle path, right? So the mind, if Jesus is the mind, then the 12 disciples are the 12 cranial nerves. And then those are the projections again outwards, right? So the gospel is like a neuroelectrical current animating the body, and we're like the Sims, right? With a golden, well, the green diamond over the head, right? That's the higher mind. That's the remote controlling of the avatar. So the subconscious is your divine feminine. She runs the code in the background. So every trauma you've ignored is still in your operating system. If you say, I hate you, your subconscious hears, I hate me. You guys are seeing this? So the subconscious can't tell the difference. All manifestation is subconscious command plus emotional charge. You know how people talk about flat Earth, right? Flat Earth and the firmament. The firmament is your own mental limits. The womb is Earth. We're still unborn, still gestating until the mind realizes there is a beyond. And the all-seeing eye is the one consciousness expressing itself in infinite masks, right? So you don't think thoughts, you receive thoughts, and your minds are always linked. That's why your words affect others instantly via shared mental field. So the physical world is the last layer, right? The realm of effect. So everything you see is downstream of mind. So mind equals men equals mental equals manifest equals dimensions, right? I is the number one. You are the one expressing through form. Mind gives color, temperature, and reality to all things. Even music is kind of like a spell word, right? Because it puts you into a certain vibration. Choruses can create thought loops, repetition recodes the subconscious, right? And the elites are pushing a hive mind, one religion, one government, one currency, to feed off of your energy by weaponizing your beliefs. So if we worship external gods, then attention flows, and then the energy feeds egregores in the astral. So you are ultimately, you have to understand, you are the source. You are the mind watching itself. Okay? Now I've been meditating, observing, watching where my mind goes when I'm not forcing it, and I realize something. I realize something. If I pay close attention to those patterns, I can see what's coming next because I'm the one who's projecting it. So we're all projectors, and life is the screen. What you see outside is nothing but a playback of what you've been running inside. So, like a movie, except you wrote the script, you're also the actor, the director, and the light bulb in the projector itself. So, before I had moved here to India, I already saw my own room in my place, right? Not because I was forcing a vision board, but because I had unknowingly shifted into a new state of being. So, your state comes before your fate. Your state comes before your fate. If you're constantly having to micromanage your manifestations, it means you haven't fully changed your concept of self yet. Because when you do, the world starts rearranging itself around you automatically, right? I was telling Ryan this example the other day, like let's say that a dog, you went into an owner's home and then they told you like, hey, this dog is really dangerous. Now you have that impression in your mind, and it's going to be dangerous to you. But what if you shifted your reality in that moment and had such a firm belief, you allowed yourself to think differently? And that allowance was that this dog is the friendliest dog on planet Earth. So now it starts whimpering and it starts like going like this, right? On its, and you start petting its belly. And the owner is going, what the hell? How in the world are you doing this, right? Well, that's exactly the point. You shifted realities in that moment. So the old reality of the story that you heard moments before you walked into the home, it does the rules don't apply to you in a sense. You see, so it's almost like we're surrounded by negativity a lot, right? But then it starts to plant these seeds in our mind. So we have to be very conscious of the seeds that other people are planting. Okay. So day after day, visualizing who I wanted to be, not what I wanted, but who. And now the inner garden's blooming. The world didn't change, I did, right? And the world followed suit. So if you want to manifest something, don't start with the thing itself. Start with the identity that would naturally have that thing in the first place. Make discipline feel like ease. Make work feel like play, right? This is the cheat code. And many people ask me, how do you do all this? How do you stay so consistent? I tell them I enjoy my process. You think this is hard work to me? This is living, right? I'm just showing up and speaking facts. And I'm grateful for every part of it, all of it, because gratitude is the frequency. Gratitude isn't just a moral virtue, it's magnetic. It's electromagnetism, right? It's what turns suffering into strength and what keeps you in flow when the world wants you to knock you off balance. You don't have to teach people about it, just live it. Become the walking example. They'll feel it in your energy before you say a word. So you don't have to go through prison to wake up. You don't have to lose everything to be grateful for something. Just start where you are. Start paying attention to your thoughts and start relabeling the negative thoughts. Start rewriting the script of what's going wrong. And life will play the movie you actually want to live. Okay? So heartbreak is not failure, it's a sacred rupture, as I said yesterday, right? When it hurts the most, you're near a threshold moment. Every door that's slamming is clearing the static for the doorway of the divine self to open. So close the doors that are not meant for you. Open the ones that are meant for you. Soul essence is revealed as every natural disaster, right? Storms, quakes, floods, fires, they're not random, they're archetypal releases. So the chaos is intelligent. Chaos isn't dysfunction. Chaos is the cosmic tilling of the soil. So that post-chaos calm is the Amenti current, if you ever heard of that, okay? It's clarity, purity, still waters after the storm. So rotten roots must be pulled. And this is why we also, cleared up our group, because we want more active participants, people who are actually committed to this path, right? As I was saying earlier. So they must be pulled to allow the seeds of your soul's desire to grow, right? So the grief isn't just loss, it's the mourning, the illusion that you once made sacred. So grief of potential is more devastating than grief of experience. I choose me becomes the mantra of spiritual adulthood. And it's not with bitterness, it's not from selfishness, it's from wholeness and clarity. Anyone who can't meet you there becomes a reflection, not a companion. Okay? And remember, wealth isn't just financial, it's a vibrational sovereignty, right? It's energetic. So programs that you do are not just about hustle, they're about the embodied frequency attunement. So let's say if we do another program, Ranji, like on something else, right? People are going to co-sign to that energy, that frequency, that the coding of that. So the self-identity that you have must be recoded to become a vibrational match for what you deserve and desire. So people are starting to wake up, right? People right now, nowadays, I get so many people coming into my office and they want off the hamster wheel. The 9 to 5, the corporate politeness, the false professionalism. My goodness, right? What are these costumes of captivity? And why are you not allowing yourself to be yourself? Why are you selling your soul just to pretend and stay in a job that you hate? Right? And I think Ryan G also recognized this with the old client and the new one and so forth. Okay. So it's going to be really, really key and important to understand that the 5D timeline already exists. It's just remembering through presence and radical authenticity. So this is not about improving the mask. It's about burning the mask entirely. So real transformation is when you see what's been draining your life force and then you walk away anyway, no matter how good the fantasy felt. Okay? Hello, Moonlight. Hearts are only reserved for my girl. So please don't send hearts unless you're really like, whatever. Ryan G says, talk about my recent challenge with a lead. Yeah, yeah. So Ryan G called me yesterday and he's wondering about, this energetic suddenly this ripple that came at him from this particular person who was kind of challenging him or like putting him on the spot. And he just kind of stayed in his character, right? He stayed in his authenticity. And that seemed to disorient that other person because they weren't used to that. They're used to people just crumbling, falling under pressure, not really understanding that. So it's almost like you can't sustain abundance from a fragmented identity, right? You must rewire your nervous system to normalize abundance and to collapse the idea that ease equals laziness. So in that moment, if he's just like, okay, he just makes eye contact and that eye contact feels brief to that person, right? They're still going to know what's going on here, right? So it's not about luxury for ego, it's about luxury for soul nourishment. So we aren't just healing, guys, we are remembering, okay? Not just moving on, but we're choosing a new self. So every tear, every loss, every closure has been your soul negotiating for your future. So this challenge yesterday was almost like a timeline test in a sense. Has Ryan G really shifted? Is he in the new timeline or is he going to fold under the pressure? And of course, he's also an SR, so you become kind of like a walking target. There's no being low key on SR, it's like you're the center of attention no matter what, right? So it's like, but also stop praying, show me who I am, and start understanding the answer comes as a storm at times. Because let's just say that, this big chaos or something that shows up, that's a testing of your ultimate character, right? And the garden is already blooming. So we have to understand, we have to stay around those who expand us. But the most dangerous thing to do for your manifestation is staying around those who don't expand you. It's a slow vibrational suffocation, right? Familiarity is not safety. Just because they love you doesn't mean they won't unconsciously cage you in their nervous system's limitations. And I shared some deep truths to the adepts yesterday from the portal day, right? How your nervous system is the gatekeeper. Okay. So they want you safe. Okay. They want you safe, but safe to them often means unchanged. Other people's limits sometimes become your mind's prison. That's not very realistic. Or they'll project onto you, right? Get a stable job. No one makes money doing that. Who are you to tell me that, right? Those aren't facts. They're spells passed down through your own fear-conditioned bloodline. And you expect me to become a reality channel for that? Heaven no. One belief repeated enough becomes a reality tunnel. You must be the one to break it, not by convincing them, but by living free anyway. If you can envision it, it already exists in the quantum. The version of you living your dream life, already real. Your job isn't to make it real. Your job is to become congruent to it, vibrationally aligned to it. But our mind is infected with other people's limits, right? And that will never let our own hearts lead like that, right? Because deconditioning is remembering who we were before the Matrix program ran, before all this culture, school, family. They all handed you a code, but you didn't choose it. And that's why the Primal Sutra path is one of inner decolonization. Okay? You are not here to fit in. You are here to pattern disrupt. You will not be understood until you are impossible to ignore. You must be unwavering in the unknown. There's a vulnerable space between leaving the old world and arriving in the new one, right? And then this creates a friction internally. Okay? That's when the voices will try to pull you back. Thank you. I love you, but I choose me. Okay? In low moments, you'll be tempted to take the path of least resistance. But every time you hold your ground and refuse to regress, you actually do forge a new neural pathway. So even if you're in the mud, don't put on your old mask. Let the mud become your medicine. This is almost like we have to get back into that surrender experiment, right? Letting go. Your freedom disrupts their programming, and that's okay. Some will question you, some will leave, some will return in awe. Don't defend, don't over-explain yourself. Just embody, just embody, just embody, just embody. That's how you change the world. And you are not here to be understood, you're here to be undeniable, like I said. So the 5D doesn't arrive through theory, it arrives through your unwavering alignment. Hey, what's up? So this is exactly what we're talking about. These are like primal nodes of power, right? I used to see sleep as just recovery, but nowadays I see it as a portal. It's an astral recalibration, really, right? Clear seeing activates through dreams. You wake up with knowing because your soul's been briefed. Then the frontal lobe, shuts down during REM. This is when the soul's guidance slips in, right? And it's like a human biotech. Each of these maps, like clairvoyance for the third eye, clairaudience for the throat chakra, claircognizance for the crown, clairsentience for the solar plexus. You can also relate all of your chakras to the different psychic um, skills, let's call them, the clairs. Okay. Why? Clairsentience, why is it in the solar plexus? Gut level, energetic radar. Why is claircognizance in the crown? Well, it's that instant knowing. There's no logic needed for that. It's the divine upload. Why is clairaudience in the throat? Because this whole area, right, is associated with your hearing and your telepathic ear chakras, right? So this is really I know this is very advanced, but schooling locks us into the frontal lobe a lot. It mutes our divine receptors. And psychic reawakening is switching from the ego logic control panel to a more primal intuitive guidance system. Okay. So death is not the end, but the doorway. You can upgrade your relationship with someone after they've passed because connection never dies. Love is like the quantum cord outside of time. And patterns like repeating numbers, you're seeing songs, power outages, butterflies, whatever it is, are encrypted guidance. And you can program custom signs. Show me a blue fox when I'm on the right path, let's say. You tell your own subconscious mind before you sleep. Show me a purple rhino before I'm about to make some monetary, you know, headway or whatever. Like when I'm getting a lot of cash coming in, I see this purple rhino. Now you have that associated in your mind's programming. You see, you've reassociated what it means to you. Okay? But whatever we focus on grows. So you might just be focusing on this rhino just before sleeping, but then you suddenly start seeing rhinos everywhere, be it purple or not, right? This is how the mind works. So you don't need psychics because you are the oracle. You begin with team of light, guide me. Use me as a vehicle of love and healing. Okay? And you speak it into existence. Because infatuation is like a karmic activation or a lesson. But the true frequency resonance is a peace and a pull. It's not hype, it's not hunger, but it's a soul level yes. And peace is the highest vibration of love, right? We've all been seduced by chaos and drama, but real divine union, be it with self, other, cosmos, still feels calm and unshakable. EEG scans show that mediums or psychics mimic monks in gamma-rich flow states. Isn't that wild? Right? So Karen, the psychic from next door, has the same monk-like gamma-rich brainwaves. That's wild to me. So brain, like psychic states mirror advanced meditation states. Are we getting this, guys? The brain quiets the frontal lobe and the back right lobe lights up, which is where the divine empathy switch is activated. So you are always exactly where the universe needs you to be. Everything is a soul contract or a mirror. The path opens when you live in gratitude, forgiveness, kindness, and awe. And trust is greater than control, right? Stillness is greater than strategy. The energy never lies. And if you want to awaken your inner oracle, you can ask me or Ellie, or you can just join this path working, or you can understand to intend, trust the signs, and live as if you're already connected because you are. Okay? And the nexus stands to rewire the collective Claire grid. In our mystery school, of course, remember, is Primal Sutra Mysteryschool.com. You were never lost, you were just buried beneath layers of noise. Okay? This is a technique by Thoth I'm going to share a little bit. It's very powerful in shifting realities. It's a soul remembrance protocol that I came across. It's not new. It's a very ancient technique. It was forbidden, but not of control, not out of control, but out of protection, because one who remembers cannot be manipulated, right? So that means that this technique that I'm sharing ignites a non-reversible awakening. So you don't go back to sleep once the veil lifts. Okay. So in Egypt, in Greece, in even in India, right? They all echoed in the same warning. Humanity didn't physically fall, they fell in frequency. The soul descended into matter and forgot its source. The pain we carry is an ache of remembering what we once were. So in ancient temples, initiates practiced dying before dying. That wasn't a metaphor, not imagination, but an ego death, right? Real egoic disintegration through breath, vibration, maybe ritual trance, right? Trance states and so forth. So you leave the false self and then you return to your original vibration, right? Because no master hands you truth. You remember what was always within you. This is the whole journey. It's the spiritual amnesia clearing. And without ego cleansing, the mind hijacks the sacred and turns it into vanity. That's why the teachings were oral, they were spoken, or they were hidden in like symbols, glyphs, myths, and stuff like this. But ain't nobody got time for that. All of that, at least, right? Of course, we have some time for it because we're absolute, mystic mad scientists with this thing. But it wasn't because they were elitist or something, but because they were dangerous in unready hands, in a sense. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody have any questions? What's coming up for you guys? Okay, just leave it in the live chat. And also join our Telegram group with a profile picture. Okay, with a profile picture, please, so we can accept you into the tribe. Okay. Now, you have to catch the thought. First and foremost, you have to understand catching the thought breaks the trance of inherited belief systems. So when you can crack the mask, you didn't even know what you were wearing, and you ask, is this thought mine? Is this thought even mine? Right? Then it starts to, your body will know the truth. Okay. Your body's the subconscious mind, your body's the lunar subconscious, your body is the divine feminine in a sense. Okay. And conscious experience is that solar awakening, right? That being awake throughout the day. It's that sunlight. So you have to understand this. You are not your mind, emotions, or even your physical sight. You were just witnessing without filter. Because this kind of technology is accessed not through effort, but through active silence. So you have an invisible name, and this is deeper than any mantra or affirmation. This is like your vibrational signature, your true sound. And it can't be spoken because it's a resonance. And you might have felt it in fleeting moments like divine peace, effortless knowing, different intuitive modes, but you don't find it. You fall into it when all else is stripped. So this is not about becoming more spiritual, it's about becoming more real. The ego will resist, it will scream, it will try to weaponize your awakening. But if you endure, what absolutely remains is a clarity so radical that it burns away all illusions. And then it rewrites the entire identity from scratch almost, right? So awakening is easy. Living awake in a sleeping world is the real test, okay? True alchemists walk through chaos untouched, and their silence pierces noise. So then they're no longer reacting, they're just choosing. They're no longer seeking, they're just emanating. Okay. And this is the whole point of Jewel July, is just to emanate. You just radiate it. You don't beg for love. You don't chase meaning. You are meaning. When you remember who you remember who tried to make you forget who you are too. And from that moment, no prison can hold you, not mental, not emotional, not societal. Your mental and physical body, you create an immune system that nobody can harm those, you know. So you are the forbidden technique. You are the hidden glyph. You are the symbol that no longer can be suppressed. Okay. And if the adepts want to know further, I will tell them this technique and how they can practice it. Okay. So the first thing to understand is the whole "it's love and light" parade that just attract everything by thinking happy thoughts movement. It's like a spiritual junk food, right? For dopamine hungry light slaves. It's the Disneyland version of enlightenment. It's harmless, it's sedating, it's cute, but it won't save your soul from when the shadows come knocking, right? Because the ego mind is very slick. It's real clever. It took the secret keys that are meant to free you and it used them to redecorate the prison cell. Oh, I don't need to act. The universe will provide. I'm aligned. Maybe you're just sedated. That's not alignment, that's avoidance, right? So half of these clowns out here calling themselves light workers ain't done a day of shadow work in their lives. They're allergic to resistance, terrified of truth, and addicted to the illusion of ease. And narcissists are essentially this is from R.J. Spina, right? Narcissists are the ascended masters of the ego mind because they've mastered the art of looking spiritual while being spiritually bankrupt. Okay? So if you aren't doing the work, taking action, cleaving through illusions, right? Like with a damn psychic machete, you're just high on your own spiritual farts, right? Like fear wears the costume of research. Courage walks in and acts. So this is the mind's game. You're not manifesting from your affirmations, you're manifesting from the embodiment of those affirmations or askformations, right? Your frequency, your being. You breathe every day without trying, right? So no affirmations, no scripting or rituals, just being. Abundance, that's source. That's what you forgot. But instead of learning to become it, you're out here trying to attract it like a Trinder swipe from the cosmos. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. Okay? Take the light, take the shadow, take the truth, act on it, live it, burn for it. Don't just sit there waiting for the universe to spoon feed you miracles because you bought a a citrine crystal and you pasted, you posted about your star sign on Instagram or something. Okay? If you want real liberation, you got to get your hands dirty in the mud of your own subconscious. You got to sweat truth, bleed clarity. You got to dance with the void until it recognizes you. And that's why, you know, I stopped answering so many of these complex questions that New Age spiritual people have for me. It's kind of like very confused toddlers, right? Like, I don't understand that at all. I realized I'd rather help humans remember that they're gods because unlike, aliens or something, we've earned our divinity through friction, through paradox, through pain. And hey, maybe we are the aliens, right, babe? Right? I think we are the aliens at some cost. So stop trying to bypass the hard stuff. I mean, this is a real initiation, right? So we wouldn't be able to actually ascend without the narcissists. Now, hear me out, okay? Those empty shell play actors gaslighting you, love bombing you, they're the anchors of this whole damn operation. Because, listen, if we all just shot up into a ladder of light, like fireworks on ayahuasca, we collapse right back down. Reversion to the mean, right? It's physics and metaphysics. You can't build a skyscraper without digging the foundation. You can't ascend in a stable way with some energetic resistance dragging you back through it to stabilize your expansion. That resistance, that weight, that friction that pisses you off and breaks your heart, that's them. That's the narcissist, the covert operators of divine polarity. They're not here to enlighten. They're here to entrench, to entangle, to inflict just enough illusion, just enough tyranny to make you go, I can't live like this anymore. And then boom, you go inward. You start deconstructing your false self. You drop the mask. You silence the stories. You start to remember who you actually are, right? So they're kind of catalysts in a sense. They're not broken or evil. They're perfectly playing their role. They're the anti-medicine that triggers the soul's immune system. You guys are getting this? They're the spiritual laxatives pushing that shit out of your energetic body. So you think awakening happens in temples and crystal caves? No, happens in toxic families and narcissistic relationships. In that moment, you realize this is not love. This is a performance. And I'm done performing. And then the real you starts to flicker, right? The flame comes online. And if you got the guts to feed that flame instead of collapsing again, you rise. But only this time, you don't rise fragile. You rise forged. You burn clean. So you want to curse the narcissist? Don't. Thank them silently from a distance while your drawbridge is up and your soul is finally sovereign because you're the one who chose the high difficulty mission. You're the one who said, I want to evolve fast. And to do that, you chose them in your life unconsciously. You chose the friction, right? You chose the crucible. That wasn't a punishment. That was an alchemical engineering. And now you hold your center, you've cut your cords, and you're rising steady. Welcome to the long game of liberation, right? So remember, in Jungian alchemy, the ego is the centralizing compass of consciousness. So the ego must grow in coordination with your self-awareness. Killing the ego prematurely is a kind of a spiritual suicide, right? So integration, not annihilation, is the goal of the ego. When you draw freely, the basically the collective unconscious is very real and symbolic, right? So when you freely draw, the entity that controls you that day will appear on the page. Because why? Because the psyche leaks into form. Your laziness, your pride, your envy, they will have shapes. As you're drawing, you will notice them, decode them, banish them, cross them out, right? Why do we have a cross, right? It's a symbol of Christianity, heaven and earth. But it's also saying this is not, it's not this, not that. It's neti neti, right? So you're crossing it out. And that's the thing. And this is why also braids are very spiritually aligned because they're crosses, right? And so the spirits use you like we use dogs. The astral realm is populated by intelligences that nudge us like trained animals. So you're not always you, remember. Sometimes you're possessed by an archetype or a pattern, and higher beings can use you, but so can lower ones. And you got to discern which ones, okay? I think mystics should reclaim material mastery because the refusal to build, to lead, to thrive is not humility. It's just a spiritual cowardice at times. You must lay bricks towards your soul's fortress, right? So there is that weird like Crowley type magic, which is like external manipulation, sacrilege, inversion of techniques, inversion of ideas, ritual sodomy, weird stuff, okay? The true alchemy is turning your trauma, your wrath, your lust, your envy, your jealousy into an awakened gold. The philosopher's stone is the healed and individuated psyche, right? Freud, I wouldn't say he's too outdated, but Jung points out the archetypal. And if it doesn't bend the need to divine law, it will fail. Because psychology without scripture is just ego engineering without soul integration. Okay. Now, there's many thought form realms, right? The unity of the Godhead, then the duality of masculine, feminine, then the causal plane, which is potential, then the mental plane that's symbol, the astral plane that's like your desire and dreams, the etheric plane that's your energy blueprint, and then your physical plane, which is your actual physical incarnation. So there was once this guy who tried this psychedelic with a shaman, and essentially the shaman told him, "You are too much down, your energy is too much down here." He's pointing to his a lower body instead of high up on the trees, he said. Because a grand spirit can also rise up and it can become the size of like a mountain if it wants to, right? But if you're just trapped in this physical body experience only, you can only access the lower realms. And this is what the world tries to do. It tries to keep us suppressed in our lower chakras, right? So this is a really important point, I think, that you are the temple through which these worlds pour into density, right? You are the holy grail being filled by heaven or hell. And your inner feminine or anima and your inner masculine animus aren't just energies, they're like these archetypal gatekeepers of mother and father in your mind. So you must hold them in the highest regard. And misalignment with them leads you to repeating trauma loops. So you integrate the anima or animus or forever project them into lovers that you can't keep, into random people that keep upsetting you, into right? So it just keeps happening like that until you meet that and you forgive your mom and dad. And once you forgive them, then God can forgive you, right? So that's to meet God empty-handed is a spiritual shame. The mastery of craft is an offering. You are here to leave something behind, not because you're afraid of death, but because you respect birth. So master something before you die. Change the label and change the demon, right? So once you name it rightly, you can sculpt it into something useful. Language is the first tool of the magician or the mystic or the metaphysician. They're all the same in my world, okay? Heaven isn't a place, it's a vibration aligned across planes. It comes in layers and it pours through you when you're aligned with the true God order, not the ego godhood, right? So hell is in coherence between will, emotion, and thought. Damn, B, that's real, says Trap House Under. This is what I need more spirituality. I felt envious before. Freud was on coke most of the time. That's factoid. That's a factoid for sure. Um, but yeah, this is the deep stuff that most will never touch because it's too real, you know? It's just too. You ever get that feeling that you already knew what was coming, right? Like the wind whispered something before your life did. That was like a soul tapping on the glass, right? Saying, "Wake up, you're dreaming." Yep. You're asleep right now, not metaphorically, but literally, right? You're in the condensed dream, thicker than the night ones, but still made of the same smoke. But the problem is, right? Y'all keep trying to fix the dream by pushing stuff around inside the dream, like rearranging chairs on a ship that isn't even real. See, what you got to do is wake up inside the dream, right? When you dream at night, everything feels real. The places, the fear, the joy, it's all alive until you open your eyes. Then boom, it's gone, right? Damn, I thought that was real. Okay. Guys, I got to get going soon. But I want to mention a few things that I've been realizing. Okay. The Earth, of course, it has a soul form. It's exploited for its louche energy. The black goo, which is all again once the intelligent lifeblood of planetary consciousness, like Tiamat, was weaponized and now acts as a medium for the regressive ETAI forces, right? And so we got to watch out for that because it's an inverted souls technology. It comes through chemtrails, GMO food, stuff like this, right? Artificial intelligence networks, weaponized nanofibers and stuff like this, okay? So we got to understand that. We also got to understand the AI infiltration with the spiritual camouflage. Okay. We also have to understand that the soul is built, not guaranteed, and the astral coherence is the first line of defense. There's a war for the soul on the planet happening right now with there's the triad of the Orma, the Tegentan, and the Antarians. And then, there's a lot more I could say about that, but I can't speak too much about it because it's deeply occult information. And so you might as well just join the mystery school and find out more. Okay. But here's the neuro hack. The adversarial matrix can't anticipate unpredictability. They don't overly premeditate power. So move suddenly, break patterns. This is like angle magic. You move in nonlinear vectors like a quantum ninja. So then surprise becomes a tactic of your spiritual warfare. So the less they can predict you, the less they can intercept, right? So do the spiritual work, then release it from conscious fixation, banish it, forget it, act in faith. Okay. More beauty with intention is more psychic resonance. So don't store sacred tools in plastic bags. Your ritual deserves a reverence. Okay. These Wi-Fi 5G phones to lower testosterone, soul coherence, right? Routine and predictability to forecast and block spiritual evolution. Using these grays to scan and override neurological freedom. Okay. Conceal your charge, build your aura, use concealment, right? Don't share everything. Become unpredictable. Use stealth adapted principles, right? Anointing oils before rituals to encode your field, right? I love using even the sage spray that I have. Like it's just like a sage and Palo Santo spray, right? So I'll just put it in my workspace right here. But yeah, you have to practice unpredictability, pivot your routines and shift your path. Stay fluid, stay spontaneous each day. So let's say you're doing a yoga practice. Why not get on that yoga mat and do something unique that day? That will keep your energy alive and unpredictable in the matrix. And also you let the quantum work in silence, right? So you do your ritual, then you forget about it, right? This is the beauty of this stuff. Thank you so much, guys, for tapping in. I have to get going. I have sessions today, but I appreciate all of you. Thank you for being so cognizant, present here today, learning all this stuff. I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot of information. So go back, listen, take notes, and we can reapply whatever you guys took down. But these are the codes that I've been getting. It's like it's all about that understanding of the wealth codes too. It's this is really what is necessary. Remember, you don't receive what you desire, receive what your nervous system is willing to allow. Let's get it today, Upward Spiral Gang. May we never be the same again. Let's win. Peace.